Thunder, like you've never imagined.
Good morning, welcome back to American Truck Simulator. I'm David Steele and here's me truck. Today's video might be a little rambly. I say rambly, it's an interesting way of phrasing it really. This could have been a live stream. It's not, and there's a couple of reasons for that. But the main reason why it's not a live stream is right now my home environment is kind of noisy. I live in Texas and it's warm, and our AC is not working very well, and it's constantly on. So we aren't overheating, but it's a noisy environment. And all that means is that I can't guarantee the sound anyway. But today is kind of worse than normal. We've been under a heat advisory for the last week, and I'm getting bored with it, but the AC just really can't keep the house cool. Anyway, that rambling aside, this video today, the reason why it could have been a live stream is because I'm actually testing the Series 71 engines. Okay, deep breath. I have wanted to do these engines for quite a while. I'm just going to hoon around here. It's the middle of the night, there's no one around, and I'm being very irresponsible. But I've wanted to do these engines for quite a while, but they have quite a following, kind of like the Series 92, although even more so. And because of this, you don't want to get this wrong. A couple of caveats. I am using Series 92 sound for the Series 71. I don't have Series 71, and I haven't investigated finding available sound for the Series 71 or asking anyone if I could use theirs. So, if that triggers you, I'm sorry, but there's nothing I'm going to do about it, at least for the 6V71, or potentially the 671, because there's an inline 71 Series 2 which appears to have the same specification as the 6V, blah blah blah. I'm rambling again. I'm also testing the 8V71 too, and for that I'm using the same sound as the 8V92 in my engine pack. Anyway, we're gonna just pull in here. I've just delivered a first trip and basically tried it, and it worked great. That was the entry-level engine, the 238 horsepower. What we'll do, we'll just go ahead and shut the thing down. Right, let's jump in. So we have a good number of engines here. I guess we'll just do a 71 filter. What have we got? So the 238, the 262. This one is considered naturally aspirated, although they all have some form of forced induction. So you're going to get a bit of a turbo whistle. I don't have the sound file to do anything else with it. This one is most definitely turbocharged, the 262. And there's another automotive engine, I think it's rated 270, 275 with a bit more torque, and that might replace this one here. The 8V models, so the top one here, the 305, the top on the list, the least powerful, the TTA, that's tailored torque aftercooled 305, that's governed at 1950 RPM. The next one, the 360 and the 370, they have essentially, well, not essentially, they have the same torque curve. The difference is that the 360 has a 1950 RPM governor, and the 370 gives you the full 2100 RPM. This 305 top economy is a fuel squeezer engine, so it's got constant power from about 1500 RPM, as I recall, all the way up to the 1950 governor. And this is Detroit Diesel's a way of helping save a little bit of fuel. So that's an interesting engine. I think we might try that one next. Yeah, very different character on paper between the 6V and the 8V. And you can see this here. Look at the torque it's produced at 1600 revs is its peak torque versus 1200 for the 8V. Now, the 6V92 does produce reasonable torque below its peak torque figure, but in sense of how the thing drives, yeah, you really do have to trap your hand in the door as you close it to get you angry, so the thing performs as well as it should. The 6V71 is a small engine. It's only 7 litres in capacity, and the 8V71 is 9.3 litres. So one of the hardest things about dealing with an engine like this is getting the efficiency and the feel of the engine right. And so what I mean by efficiency, your miles per gallon numbers. Now, no one ever goes on the forum and says, hey, I've spec'd my Mack like this, or my whatever the truck is like this, with this gearbox and these ratios and these tires, and this is my load and these are the roads and this is the economy I get. You don't get that information. But if people say, hey, I typically grow 75 to 80 and I get 5 miles per gallon, it gives me an idea. Finding that information is one, and then applying it to the engine mods is something else. And does that make me a little anal to try and get that right? I mean, yes. Yes, I think it probably does. Okay, I'm happy to be that little bit anal because I want to get these trucks right. Gearbox wise, we were using a vocation. I think it was a vocational, the 10-speed direct with a 3.7 final drive. Let's go back here. It's going to take a second to load. Real Eaton Fuller adds a lot of transmissions. Yeah, it does. I'm going to go ahead and use the 9-speed that comes part of the Steel Productions engine pack. See if I can find that easily. Do we do 609? Yes, we do 609A. Let me see. I think a little spreadsheet here. Well, it probably won't surprise anyone that's followed the channel for a while with some numbers I might want. If I want to be doing 1300 revs at a direct drive with 22.5-inch tires at 55 is a 285. And I know this because the stock 10-speed in the game is a 285 direct drive. Is that going to be enough for this engine? I think it probably will be. Yeah, we'll go with that. But what does Detroit Diesel say? Top economy. Okay, so 22.5-inch tubeless tires. They reckon a 3.7 to 1 direct drive, and that's a geared, governed road speed of at 1950 RPM of 63 miles an hour. That's pretty short. I mean, that would work fine. I mean, they also say that is recommended components: steel-baited radial tires, cab air deflector, and a thermostatically controlled fan. You know, I'm actually going to go with their recommendation. And is it a 9-speed? Top economy, I think they say a 9-speed. Yes, it is. Yep, alright, well, it just so happens I've got one of those. Okay. This is going to be kind of noisy and revvy, but it should perform okay. Right, well, I think the only other thing is, do I want to use a longer wheelbase truck? This is the short version. I could go with a longer version here. Excuse me. It's a little bit more stable, and if you're doing line haul, it might be more useful with a heavier cargo, and I like to put the steps in, so we'll go ahead and do that. And actually, it's not vocational, so I'd be happy to use the round tanks, although I think the black on blue looks kind of cool, but let's go ahead and just mix things up a little bit. We'll use the round tanks. We're going to use painted straps, and I think we'll change the paint job. Got a good choice here. I've got the company ones as well, but I'd feel better if I chose a gallon one. I'd feel better if I chose a gallon run. Retro stripes, multi-value liner, vintage skin. I quite like the vintage skin, but I got some nice metallics I can play around with. course, we're losing focus here. This isn't what we're supposed to be doing today, but we're going to do this because we can. Because it's sort of a cherry red. I guess, what was it? Sandy said is Taylor Swift lipstick red, maybe. I don't know, is it more that colour? Maybe. We'll go with the cherry, the sort of cherry red colour. And you know what? Whilst we're here, I mean, because we can, do want to make those cherry red as well. And I mean, seeing as we're here, we could make this cherry red, and we could also do this. If we want to be really glamorous. And I mean, whilst we could also make the mirrors red, but I think I like the... Yeah, we got a bit sidetracked. Okay. Let's go ahead and put some mud flaps at the back. So I've got truck skin, which I don't really like so much as I like the Mack. Okay, right, well that's thoroughly distracted myself. Let's go ahead and make the $41,000. Okay. We should be good in terms of service. Yeah, we're all good. We didn't wreck, which is always useful. Right. So remember that this does not sound like the real 71 series. I've got the sound turned down quite a bit. Let's make that a little louder. There we go. Okay. Right, I suppose we ought to pick a job now. Going to go with the external contracts because I don't so much mind that we're speed limited. I could try that. No, I don't think so. It's a short trip, £33,000. That would be reasonable. That's kind of... It's a pretty heavy cargo. I don't think I need to do so heavy. What's this one? £18,500. £46,000 to Kennewick. That's more the sort of way I'd run to. I think I'd want to pull. And that's about the right length. Yeah, we'll do that. It looks like it's an interesting twisty little road as well. So it gives me the chance to just work the engine through the gears. Now most of my testing is going to be done in automated mode because it's not that I don't need to test the engine in manual, but for the best experience for those drivers that don't want to shift themselves, you gotta get those shift points right.
Get on with it.
Okay. Now let's see how well the progressive shifting works. Just a quick check of the truck. It's hard to see. Alright, well, let's move off then. So we're moving off in second. Okay. Well, so far so good. Quite a different character to the 6V971. Almost at 92 then. My worst habit in ATS is driving like I stole it just to collect the cargo because I don't want to waste time between taking loads, but I'll try and do this sensibly. I mean, so far it's not struggling with the 9-speed. I may have talked about this before, but so when you change a transmission in an engine, you sometimes got to give the game a little bit of time just to kind of recalibrate itself and its shift points. Okay, so we're in 8th at 30. Now turn left up here, so we'll use the left lane.
Go straight.
This pickup truck with the little boat is a fairly new addition to the game. Oh, it's getting away from me. That's a Julie as well. Nice boat, mate. I like boats. Oops. Keeping my side of the road. There we go. Okay. So, tuning the fuel consumption for the 8V92 took quite a bit of time because they are quite a small capacity engine and they're not known for their economy, let's just say. And you really want to get that right without basically penalizing the engines too much. So hopefully that experience with the 8V92, I'm going to run this light, will help with the 8V71. It's a smaller engine, so... Oh, here's my turn. Yeah, it's a smaller engine, and that means it should get slightly better mileage, but we got to maybe work it harder. So we'll see what we get. From this kind of trip, I would be hoping to get maybe 5 to 6 to the gallon, but the road might be a little hillier and twistier, and that's going to have an impact. Possibly that might be a little optimistic. So I should do this. Let's go ahead and get those down. Drop my ride height. Using advanced coupling, and let's turn it in a little tighter. There we go. Right, see if we line it up perfectly. Good enough. Alright, parking brake on. Let's put my ride height back to stock and connect the trailer. There we go. Okay. I may have made that look fairly easy, but I've driven the Mack R an awful lot, and a lot the sort of day before I've grabbed these definitions and start playing around with the Series 71. So if I can't do it now, yeah, I should be able to do it now. Okay, so far that's it's been great. It's not struggled. It's not whipsawed through the gears. Whipsaw, what I mean by that is you'll move off. You'll go to the transmission will go to change up. It'll change up. But then it discovers it's too slow for the gear it's put you in, and so it immediately changes down. And it might do that whilst the first sort of mile or two anyway. But if it keeps doing it, it's whipsawing. So you'll go from maybe first to third to first to third to first to third, when really it wants to go first to second, or first to third down to second and then go. And so that's usually a definite that's a shift point you can change, especially if you give it a squeeze more power. It'll stay in the next gear because it's going that little bit quicker. I work hard trying to avoid those, and I can't always do it. I say can't always do it. It's subject to so many variables, most of which are out of my control. You know, are you on a slope? Have you got a car go behind you? Even sometimes the difference between having full tanks and empty tanks can make a difference if the truck's going to whipsaw or not. One of the trucks has a 360 gallon capacity, and I forget which one it is. I wonder if it's a Kenworth K100E as a prime mover, or maybe it's the Peterbilt 362 John Ruders. But the long and short are, that's quite a bit. You notice the weight. I might be in the wrong lane here. Yeah, I think I am. So having the difference between empty and full tanks, it makes a difference to whether you can whipsaw or not. But all just to say, we haven't whipsawed yet. Fairly smooth down change there. We don't have enough power to get up this hill though. I'm giving it lots of power, and it's not accelerating great. But, well, what did I expect? It's 1,064 foot-pounds of torque and not that much power. So we're now full power. Very different experience to the V6 71 series. That thing is kind of loud and whiny, and it doesn't go anywhere at all quickly. Still at full power. Almost at 55. Okay, we lost a bit of speed there. Look at that. And it looks like it's getting 4 miles per gallon at this sort of speed. Let's put my cruise on at 60. See if it will get there. I don't just use the Mack R for testing purposes, but it's one of my favorite trucks. And period accurate, if not drivetrain accurate. I don't know if many Mack R's got the Series 71. I know a few did, and it was no, didn't get pulled in, and it was an option. There were certainly trucks that could have it, and they even had their own model name. I think the R626 is what they called the Series 92 powered trucks. Maybe wrong. We've yet to reach 60, and I've killed the power completely because we're about to enter some twisty roads, so we'll just check the engine brake. Well, I mean, it's an engine brake, it works. I didn't make it particularly powerful for this this engine. I figured that older engine brakes would not have the most efficient retardation. Yes, I know, Zach. Go on. Actually, and Daniel too. Alright. Okay, that's I mean, we're working it hard on these twisty bits, and it's something at a road like this that I might just switch to manual and just see where the engine performs. Yeah, I can look at the spreadsheet as it's set up on and look at the definition. Why has he got his 4-ways on? But unless you've actually driven it, you can't always tell. You can get a feel for it looking at the numbers on the spreadsheet. That is beautiful, but you really can't always tell. Let's see if I can take a... That's kind of screen image worth, but we're not going to mess around doing it. Okay, I think we're good to go. Yeah. This is basically a full power move off, and I'll come off the power once we start to head down the hill, maybe at the 97 sign. Okay, that's off the power. Let's see if it shifts up early. No. Alright, bit of engine brake. Okay, speed testing that does indeed have 3 strengths of engine brake. Just change the noise it makes. Not the type of noise, just the volume. Alright, off the power, we'll coast down this hill. I'm not going to use the engine brake to try and curtail my speed. Yes, I will actually. Okay, it's holding 42, so... Actually, it dropped a little bit of speed. Good! That works for me. On the power to crest this hill. And then we'll lift off as we get up to the top, like so. By lifting off, there's no point in accelerating all the way as we crest the bridge or the hill, as I'm just throwing fuel out the back, so I'm about to slow down. That is a nice looking sky. And it's telling me that it's going to rain. Okay. Well, quick check on my progress. We're only 60 miles away. I would say that this engine's actually it's performing better than I hoped for a first draft. The shift points are working great. It's performing pretty much as I would expect it to. No great shakes, but gets the job done. Engine brake's fine. It hasn't even whipsawed with this cargo. Try. I don't think it'll get to 65, but we'll set the cruise at 65 and see what it does. Now when you use it with cruise control, you lose the adaptive features that SCS build it into the game engine. It just sticks as rigidly as it can to the rules, to the shift points that you designate. That's why it's short shifted up into 9th at just over 40 miles an hour. But it's not particularly disadvantaged by this. And if it'll shift too early, you need to change your shift points. So yes, peak torque's at 1200 RPM, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's got enough power to drive you at that speed of a tiny gradient. We might even hit 60 now. Let's see. I think we're about to. Yes, and the governor is 62. Okay, so that's spot on. What I thought it was. What's my fuel consumption at the governor? 6.9. I'm going to drop it to 60 miles an hour, so we hit this. Stay in the speed limit. Okay. That was exactly as it should. That performed, I would say, flawlessly. Yeah, that was great. So it is geared sensibly. It's geared according to Detroit Diesel's documentation, and yeah, is it going to cruise at 60 happily? Seems to be. But for the last 400 and something RPM, it has been producing 305 horsepower. So there's no advantage to revving it higher to climb a hill. You're still getting the same power. In fact, you're getting less torque at higher engine speeds. And yeah, fuel squeezer technology. I mean, at the time, was it the future? I suppose kind of. Mack did something kind of similar with their engines to try and give you that sort of constant power. We're going around this a little quickly. We might fall off the road. Okay, we made it. So was it the future? I mean, maybe, because some engines, the integrated power DD15, DD13 engines have had a similar sort of setup where the power that they produce is the same across quite a broad range. And they're a lot newer. You know, this is actually cruising very commendably. Yeah, and this is up and down gradients. Okay, I think this sort of shorter gearing seems to be working just great. Let's see if we get pulled in to be weighed. Yep, we do. Okay. We'll test the engine brake. It's not doing very much. Bit of service brake. Let's pull in. So what's our cargo? 36, yep. And I think the truck is maybe 24, so that's like 60 plus truck. I'm gonna go 65,000 pounds, just a guess. No, maybe 70. 70, okay. Well, it's a good thing I changed my mind at the last minute. What's this guy doing? You gonna let me in, sunshine? Please? Please? I mean, reluctantly he did, but he was about to collide, so... Well, I gotta say, this has been a much more pleasant experience compared with the 6V71, but I think a lot of that's to do with having a chunk more torque. My first test was the 238 horsepower, and that thing just has 600 foot-pounds of torque. It's really not a lot up to play around with, even with, and it was a cargo that was 27,000 pounds. There is a fuel squeezer version, I think, of the 6V71, and I might give that a go. That might be a more pleasant experience. But I mean, this has been alright. It's been pleasing. No, we're not up to cruising speed, but we're not. The marketing literature from Detroit Diesel Allison, because that's what it was called back in the day, says it gives the feeling of having much more power than you really have. I don't know whether that's entirely true or not, but one thing's for sure. Get off the side. throw it in top gear, keep the thing accelerating, and it doesn't feel like a 300 horsepower engine, because when you slow down it's still got the same amount of go. So yeah, I think I would call that a successful test. Probably wouldn't use the engine brake at such slow speeds, but we might. Okay. Of course, something else to bear in mind as well is that I'm trying to use a 50-year-old engine that was designed and used when speed limits and roads were as they were 50 years ago in the modern world, modern context, modern speed limits, modern roads. So I got to give the engine some slack for just not being able to keep up with modern traffic, and I shouldn't expect it to. But I didn't need to make that concession so much with this this engine. Alright, fuel consumption wise, I don't know. I think I said at the start between 5 and 6.
It's all over now.
We did work it hard. I would say I would expect to be closer to 5 and try and keep it consistent. I'll do the I'm in a hurry, I'm not gonna try and do any clever parking here. So let's see. 5 would be good. So 125 miles. I mean that's actually quite good. In 4.9 to the gallon, so 25.6. Wow. I might have hit the economy number pretty much where I wanted it to be. I've got to do obviously to do more trips, more weights, but yeah. All right. I think I want to just do another trip, and I really need to get. I want to switch the engine around. Let's go up to Bellingham, and let's swap to the 6V71, but we'll go with the higher spec version this time. It's got a bit more torque to it. So, let's see. Go to truck configurator. I think I'll keep the paint job the same. I might maybe keep everything the same, but I might just change the paint. But first things first, so 71 series, this one here, stick a note what we're doing here because I don't want to forget. Oh, 6V71, 262 horsepower, and 725 foot-pounds of torque, a whole 725, wow. We're going to keep the same transmission, I think. I don't think I want to mess around and change the transmission. I would suppose that it would be pretty similar with the 71, and just we'll change the paint color. Let's go with a solid. This would be the classic David color, I suppose, or one of the classic David colors, but I don't think I want to do that right now. Another one of my favorite colors here, that actually would work great. We have a few oranges I like. That one's quite good. So we've got a beige. A creamy beigey color, a sort of danger orange color. I like that. But what about this green here? Yeah, we'll do this sort of plain flat green. Right, let's go back here. We didn't collide with anything, so that should be good. Thing going, and let's find a job. Hopefully a short trip this time. What have we got? £20,000, but that's 9 miles. That's a little too short. Yeah, I don't need to be doing that. How far is Seattle? 113. That's a little far. So what have we got here? Seattle. That's a Everett. Oh, Everett will do. It's maybe a little heavier than I would have preferred, but that's okay. It's going to give us a gross weight of about 65,000 pounds. So that'll do me, and it's hopefully it's right around the corner as well, because I think we're right next to a wheelbird.
Time to get the job done.
No, not quite. Again, it's not whipsawing, which is nice. It doesn't have many gears to whipsaw between, but that doesn't mean it can't whipsaw with a 9-speed or Sometimes even fewer gears. I can't see left very well there. Okay. Onto the wall bar. 14 miles. And you can't fast travel with World of Trucks trips, so I gotta drive it like I stole it. But my limit's 65, or probably 62. No, this thing's got a 2100 governor. Ignore all these red lights, they're just kidding. They don't need me to stop. Well, the engine brake took some speed off, which is nice. So we see acceleration is not great, and at full power it's getting 6 miles per gallon at this speed, and that seems a little high on the number, a little too efficient. But we'll see what it's going to do at 65 or flat out. I mean, it sounds like you're working it hard. Yeah, so we could go a little quicker if we weren't governed. Or speed limited by the game. That's fine. What sort of fuel consumption does it recommend? Almost 8 to the gallon at constant 65. Yeah, it'll be a little less with a cargo, maybe. Whoa, dude, what did you do that for? Maybe you didn't see me. It's not like I'm camouflaged, but I guess I'm like army green color. Brake firmly. Okay, with a bit more power we could have kicked out the back end there. Probably quite a bit more power actually. It's a medium wheelbase. The short ones are great for that. Bit of oversteer when we brake firmly to avoid running into the back of this Mustang. I mean, you would see me, but maybe up against the grass. You might not. Maybe. Okay, time to get sensible, or very soon anyway. Would never advocate driving into a yard like this. Down, suspension dropped. Line this up again perfectly. I probably won't, because I said I might. Okay. Parking brake on, right height right where it should be. Connect the trailer. I'm going to go ahead and shut the windows because this thing has a loud engine. Right. So let's see how it copes. So moving off. Well, we moved off, but yeah, a little sluggish off the line. The vocational 8-speed LLs with their extra 2 low crawler gears are very useful for that sort of scenario. No trucks allowed. It makes me want to drive down there, but we're not going to. I was feathering the throttle and it was shifting up and it wasn't falling over itself, which is good. Right. Lots of power now. We want to make this light, and I guess we are, so that's good. That's full power. I'm gonna suppose that everything's warmed up, but it should be. Yeah, so we're struggling up this gradient. I kind of expected that. Visited that rest area up here. Oh, got a red light. That's interesting. Well, I guess they've updated the map then. so. Alright, yeah, it's a little sluggish to move off. I can look at the clutch engagement torque and how I've modeled that. It's hard to get the low power engines right, because if you give them too much torque off the line, they literally can do things that don't seem realistic, but you don't give them enough and you can get stuck on a gradient pretty easily. It's quite a lot of work involved to get those right. You got to go out with a bunch of different cargoes and find a hill. Parts of California are good for that. You can use the on-ramps. But you got to take a bunch of cargoes, and if you don't want to run out of money or cheat with money, that takes time itself. Okay, so when are we going to change up? I'm at full throttle here. We're just over 40. It's 1800 revs. There we go. Okay. Right, and let's just get my cruise control on. There's no disadvantage to not using cruise right now. Let's get it at 60. We're not accelerating now. And we're below peak torque engine revs at this point. So as the speed picks up, and we hope it does pick up, we're getting a little bit more torque. It's going to be a little easier to move this thing to get it gaining speed. But I could downshift and just ring the engine's neck. But yeah, there we go. We picked up speed. I can hear it as well as see it on the digital display at the top right. Okay. So, not the speediest thing, but it is only 725 foot-pounds of torque today, and of course we're veering into the wrong lane. And it might benefit from even shorter gearing. It's something I can certainly look at. And after, there's not, if I go much lower, I'm going to be limiting my top speed to below 60 miles an hour, so yeah, well, we'll see how that works, but big difference in the character and the performance of the engine. We're now at peak torque and we're just doing 51, 52 miles an hour. That's not really what I wanted. So having just worked the thing flat out to go up this hill and maintain speed, we got to pull in and get ourselves weighed. Okay. So we reckon 65,000 pounds gross weight. We'll see what we really are. And again, I dare say you probably don't use a 7-litre 268 horsepower engine if you want to cross the country hauling 33,000 pounds quickly. There's a reason why we've got 600 horsepower ISX 15s or X15s or DD 16s, not 15s. We've got Volvos that can do that too. So what's the one? Fit 66,000, 65.5, 66,000 pounds. Okay, it's about what I expected. A little heavier, but not much. I think in that context, reflecting on the weight and the power, it's doing okay. A slightly shorter gearing would help, but we would curtail our top speed. And I think really, you wouldn't necessarily be using this spec truck for this sort of cargo. You want a bit more power. But yeah, big difference in the character between the 8V and the 6V. And I'm just going to see what the economy difference is. Let's put my cruise on. Let's just take a quick look at economy. Okay, that's not very insightful, to be fair. Yes, I see the instant number going down as the revs rise, and that would make sense. And I didn't reset it when we moved off, so I guess when I arrive, I'll get a feel for what the economy might be. I think I'm going to take a sip of water whilst we get up to cruise. feel like I could take a commercial break, you know? Didn't realize driving one of these would be such a spectator sport. Yeah, all said and done, I imagine that trucking back in the day really was like this. Put in your ear defenders, get your calendar out to check when you're going to reach cruising speed, and across the country. Of course, you probably didn't have AC, so on a hot day you'd struggle. I dare say these cabs were not very well insulated either. It saves weight. Plus, why would you make the driver comfortable? What's the point in that? The driver's there just to drive, not be comfortable, or something like that. So we're still accelerating and we're still at full power, and I'm still showing 5.7 to the gallon. So I'm going to keep it pegged, I'm going to keep it nailed as we go around this corner. This might end in disaster. I hope it doesn't. Okay. The limit changed to 55, so... yeah, I can really see how a little shorter gearing would probably go a long way. So we're doing 1700 revs at 55. And it doesn't lose speed when you come off the power much. I did reduce the friction a little bit, just to keep it hanging on to revs. That's very much a 92 trait. It may not be a 71 trait. I'll have to watch some more videos. I'll watch the same videos and just look at that feature to see how the thing loses revs when you change gear. So emissions control technologies can cause an engine to just hold on to the engine revs when you clutch it. I suppose in this case we take it out of gear. I think the original reason for that was to reduce carbon monoxide pollution, because when you shut off fuel very, very quickly, it produces the carbon monoxide. Of course, you don't want to, if you're trying to reduce those emissions, you need to just phase it out. And so engines you'd lift off completely and they'd still be fueling it just a little bit. There we go. And that said, thinking about petrol engines in cars I've driven, when AC finally became a feature in UK cars, and mainstream vehicles, typically something the size of, in the US, what would be considered a mid-size, and in the UK, a family car. I mean the Mondeo, the Vectra, the Cavalier, those sorts of sizes of vehicle. It was the mid to late 1990s. I think the Mondeo got AC as standard for the 98 or 99 year. But there was a difference in how engines would behave with without AC running. In fact, I think probably still do this. But when you lift off with the AC running, it didn't shut off the fuel. It put you at idle. It didn't shut it off. Or if it did it very slowly. And that's because the AC had a demand on the engine. It didn't want you to just feel like you were stopping. Now, my own private car, I can tell when the AC and I think the engine fan are working hard, because I lift off. It's like, oh, did someone hit the engine brake? As opposed to normal. So yeah, there is a difference there, but I suppose these days they've got emission controls technology down to the point where, and for all I know, it probably tells them about to lift off. That was quite a deliberate brake right before this little bump, and yeah, it took a bit to get the truck over it. Okay. Well, I still enjoy the Mack R. This is a different character engine, and not for the worst either. It's not slowing down much. I'm gonna have to look at that. The 8V92 was also a little bit, it would keep rolling, but it seems worse in this engine. Maybe because it just doesn't have so much acceleration. Right, well, I'm going to go ahead and just do the I'm in a hurry. I could do that, but I don't think I need to. One of the tests I'm going to end up doing with the both of these engines is doing the slow speed maneuvering with a cargo, ideally just moving it forwards and backwards quite a bit, because you need to get a feeling for how clutch engagement torque is, what's it like to maneuver at real slow speeds with a typical gearbox. Anyway, so 80 miles and 12 and a bit gallons, that's about 6.5 to the gallon. That is a little less thirsty than I would have anticipated. So I've got a bit of work to do there on the mileage numbers, but I think that just about wraps up today's video. So I hope that you enjoyed it. A couple of trips, couple of engines. It looks like there's going to be at least 5 will be released into the engine pack, but I'm going to go ahead and look at the Fuel Squeezer 6V71, because that could be interesting, especially if it mirrors the 8V71. Well, hope that you enjoyed today's video, and if you have, you should know exactly what to do by now. Go ahead and click like. You can subscribe for more adventures. If you didn't like it, go ahead and let me know. Click the dislike. Tell me why you didn't like it. Constructive criticism is always best. If you want to insult me, you'll probably get something back about your mom or your sister. Anyway, have a great day, everyone. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.